What happens when quiet sincerity finally speaks louder than rumors? For months, fans watched closely. Every glance, every shared moment, every subtle interaction sparked discussion. And now, the answer many had been waiting for has gently come into focus. Chen Zheyuan has finally opened up, revealing that Li Qin sincerely accepted his feelings, a revelation that has touched hearts and united fans in support. Some stories do not announce themselves. They do not arrive with certainty or clear labels. Instead, they grow quietly, shaped by time, shared space, and moments that only those involved truly understand. This was the case for Chen Zheyuan and Li Qin. Their connection did not begin as a narrative for the public. It developed in ordinary working days, between long hours on set, repeated scenes, and the kind of professional trust that forms slowly. What stood out was not any single moment, but a pattern, a steady rhythm of comfort and mutual regard. Observers noticed it not because it was loud, but because it was consistent. In an industry often defined by urgency, this quiet progression felt different. There was no rush to define anything, no need to turn emotion into performance. Instead, the bond deepened through understanding, restraint, and respect for boundaries. This kind of story resonates because it mirrors real life. Many relationships do not begin with certainty, they grow through familiarity and patience. That is why this chapter, though subtle, feels meaningful. It reminds the audience that sometimes the most genuine connections are the ones that take the longest to reveal themselves. Honesty is often romanticized as something simple, but in reality, it requires courage, especially when there is much to lose. For Chen Zheyuan, expressing his feelings was not a spontaneous act, but the result of long reflection and inner conflict. He understood the weight of the moment. Li Qin was not only a colleague he respected, but a person whose emotional world he did not want to disrupt. This hesitation was not weakness, it was care. He questioned whether speaking up would change the balance they had built, or place unnecessary pressure on someone who valued calm and stability. What makes this moment compelling is that it did not happen in a dramatic setting. There were no prepared words, no external audience. It happened in a quiet pause, after emotional exhaustion, when honesty felt more important than the self-protection. Choosing to speak in that moment meant accepting uncertainty. It meant allowing vulnerability to replace control. For viewers, this is where empathy forms. Many recognize this feeling, the tension between holding back and risking sincerity. Chen's choice to be honest reflects a form of emotional maturity that audiences find deeply relatable and quietly admirable. Li Qin's response is perhaps the most telling part of the story, not because of what she said, but how she said it. She did not rush to answer. Instead, she allowed space for thought, for emotion, and for truth. Her pause spoke volumes. It reflected awareness rather than uncertainty. She acknowledged that feelings are not always sudden discoveries. Sometimes they are recognized long before they are named. She had noticed the consistency in Chen's actions, the care in his behavior, and the quiet respect that defined their interactions. When she accepted his feelings, it was not framed as a dramatic turning point, but as a calm acknowledgement of something already present. This response resonated strongly with audiences because it demonstrated emotional clarity. It showed that sincerity does not need emphasis to be genuine. Li Qin's certainty was rooted in trust rather than impulse. She did not accept affection based on words alone, but on time and experience. For many viewers, especially those who value emotional security, this response felt reassuring. It reinforced the idea that true connection is recognized not in moments of intensity, but in patterns of care that endure. After honesty comes adjustment. What followed their mutual understanding was not a sudden transformation, but subtle, positive shifts that those around them began to notice. The change was not about public displays, but about ease. Both appeared more relaxed, more grounded. There was a sense of emotional balance, the kind that allows individuals to remain themselves while feeling supported. This is significant, particularly in a professional environment where pressure is constant and scrutiny unavoidable. Colleagues observed a lighter atmosphere, quieter confidence, and a steadier presence. These changes suggest that emotional stability can influence not only personal life, but professional energy as well. Rather than distraction, the relationship seemed to offer reassurance. Audiences responded positively to this dynamic because it challenged common narratives. Instead of love being portrayed as disruptive or overwhelming, it appeared constructive. It encouraged growth without demanding sacrifice. This portrayal matters. It presents a model of connection built on mutual reinforcement rather than dependency. In doing so, it aligns with what many viewers hope for themselves. A relationship that adds clarity and warmth, not noise. Fan support did not emerge from curiosity alone. It grew from recognition. Many saw in this story a reflection of values they admire: patience, sincerity, and emotional responsibility. Rather than reacting with division or speculation, fans responded with encouragement. They shared thoughtful messages and creative expressions, not to claim ownership, but to offer goodwill. This collective response highlights a shift in audience expectations. Increasingly, viewers value authenticity over spectacle. Support also came from the absence of contradiction. There were no conflicting narratives, no abrupt changes in behaviour. Everything aligned with what had already been observed. This consistency built trust, and trust invites support. For many fans, standing behind this relationship was not about idealizing it, but respecting its tone. The calm, measured approach resonated in a media environment often dominated by extremes. It felt refreshing. Ultimately, fans supported them because the story felt earned. It unfolded naturally, without pressure or provocation. In that sense, the audience did not feel like observers of a performance, but witnesses to a sincere human experience. Perhaps the most reassuring aspect of this story is how it looks towards the future. There are no promises made to satisfy expectation, no timelines offered for reassurance. Instead, there is an emphasis on pace, privacy, and emotional well-being. Both have expressed a desire to allow the relationship to evolve naturally. This choice reflects an understanding that not everything meaningful needs to be shared. In fact, some things grow best when protected from excessive attention. For audiences, this approach inspires confidence rather than frustration. It suggests self-awareness and respect for boundaries, qualities often overlooked but deeply valued. It also invites viewers to shift their focus from outcomes to process. Looking ahead does not mean anticipating milestones. It means appreciating stability. By choosing not to rush, they redefine success as balance rather than visibility. In a culture that often demands constant updates, this restraint feels deliberate and thoughtful. It leaves room for growth without pressure, allowing both individuals to move forward with intention rather than expectation. That, in itself, is a quiet statement of maturity. If you enjoyed this story and appreciate thoughtful, uplifting showbiz content, don't forget to subscribe to LVT-SHOWBIZ for more in-depth storytelling and updates. Thank you for watching, for your kindness, and for being part of this growing community. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video.